Hey guys, it's Scott from fxmissions.com. Just a note, I've finished the trilogy of anthologies from the forefront, and all 3 books are currently available on Amazon.
Take your leadership to the next level. It's time for the Foundational Missions Leadership Moment with Scott McClelland of FX Missions.
Hi, it's Scott McClelland. Thanks for listening to Leadership Moment. I want to remind you about our new podcast, From the Forefront. Find it on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or on FromTheForefront.com. While you're there, let us know what you like, what you don't like, and how we can serve you better. It's a new, longer-form podcast with interviews, life experience, things like that with missionaries and ministry leaders who are at the edge and advancing. So check us out there. I want to let you know we are busily working on new episodes of the Leadership Moment, but for now we've got a favorite from the archives for you, a series, Snares of Young Leadership. Hope it's a blessing to you. And let us know if you have a suggestion about a podcast subject, that's in the area of leadership, or a question. We'd be happy to get back to you on that. Contact us at our new domain, leadersmoment.org, or at Leaders Moment on Twitter, or Leadership Moment on Facebook. We're in the middle of a series on snares of young leaders. There are 3 or 4, maybe 5 in the series so far. I want to encourage you to go back and check those out if you haven't. Also, we'd like to give a shout out to Brian Ensminger, the guys over at Engaging Missions Show. They help us produce this podcast, and we want to say thanks for that. What a blessing they've been, and a real encouragement to us as we've pulled these things together. And God's been so gracious in helping us through them. We want to acknowledge Him and them. We're in the middle of a kind of a sticky little series called Snares of Young Leaders, and if it's gotten uncomfortable for you, I can appreciate that. It's been the same for me. But we'll forge on nonetheless with our next in the last of the self list. This will be our 4th item that kind of focuses around the self, and we're going to end up this little piece of this series by talking about self-promotion. Yes. We really want to take a few minutes to consider that. Maybe we're a little embarrassed, or maybe we feel like we should be promoted and no one else is doing it. So what's a symptom of self-promotion? One of the symptoms that I've observed of self-promotion is talking too much. Self-promotion equals often talking too much. Now, some of us are more talkative than others, and that's not necessarily a symptom of self-promotion. But bragging on yourself, wow, what's that about? The guy who wrote the book, Good to Great, in an interview that I saw of him, spoke on this subject, and he told about an admonition that he received as a young leader, as a young man. Obviously with a lot of potential and a lot of insight. An older man called him alongside and said, "Hey, clearly you have a lot of potential and your life is going to be meaningful, but I want to encourage you to focus on being interested rather than being interesting." Focus on being interested rather than being interesting. And a lot of times when we're trying to promote ourselves, we want to appear interesting to a lot of other people, and that can be a snare for us. Some of us are verbal processors, meaning we gain understanding by talking, but this is after reflection and discussion. We might verbally process, but let's don't do that in front of others so that we can appear interesting. The temptation to impress others with our words is not coming from Jesus. The temptation to impress others with our words is not coming from Jesus. If we trust in God, we can depend on His promotion in the right time and situation, and we won't have to promote ourselves with impressive sounding words and speeches for that to happen. John 17, verse 18 says, "He who speaks of himself seeks his own glory. Now, we can be doing this all the while we believe we're glorifying God. We could be promoting ourselves and using Bible verses and using very ministry-centric talk and like the latest word phrases and all that kind of thing. Motives are tricky, but a tree will be known by its fruit, and a life will be known by what it produces. Keep in mind, sometimes we show how smart we are by how little we say. I'll leave you here with a few scriptures. Fools have no interest in understanding. They only want to air their own opinions. Proverbs 18:2. Another one's from Ecclesiastes. As you enter the house of God, keep your ears open and your mouth shut. It is evil to make mindless offerings to God. Don't make rash promises and don't be hasty in bringing matters before God. After all, God is in heaven and you're on the earth. So let your words be few. I'm Scott McClelland with your Leadership Moment. Thanks for joining us. If you need to contact me or us, please do so at fxmissions.com. Until next time, have a good one.
This Leadership Moment was produced in partnership with Engaging Missions. Have your leadership question answered by contacting Scott at fxmissions.com. Visit FX Missions to learn more about how you can grow your leadership and engage in missions. Visit engagingmissions.com for encouragement, insight, and resources from missionaries, ministry leaders, and church planters.